2 years for that? Nof Klibberhai, friends, Darth Momo here for a review on Star Wars Episode VIII, The Last Jedi. Yes, I know this is not the film coming out tomorrow, nor is it the last film that came out. I know that I've also reviewed this twice on my channel. However, as I did in lead up to Star Wars The Last Jedi 2 years ago, I reviewed every film that had been out, and I gave kind of my firm stance on it since, it had been out for a while. I was able to kind of say, this is how I firmly feel. I switched back enough, but this is what I'm firmly stating. The Last Jedi was new at that time, so of course my opinion has changed, and of course, it's changed for quite a bit. But in lead up to the Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, which comes out tomorrow, I'm going to do a review of the two films I have not yet discussed in a kind of firm final review, Star Wars The Last Jedi and Solo, A Star Wars Story, which I haven't really talked about much on this channel. So anyway, let's get right into this. Like I've said before, I've talked about this before on my channel. I went to go see Star Wars The Last Jedi with 4 friends. Wilson, Harrison, Cole, Chris. And we all walked out saying, what the heck was that movie? We all did not really like it. And we just went that next day until we had a next viewing of it. We're just trying to process and take it all in. Like, what did this really just happen? There's a documentary out there called The People vs. George Lucas. And I distinctly remember seeing this in about 2015, and they were talking about the Phantom Menace and how people the crawl went back, and it was like, cool, Star Wars, but just something didn't really feel right. But, they stuck with it, and, by the end of the movie, they were really disappointed with the film. I was curious, because at the time, I was okay with the Phantom Menace. What did they mean? I wasn't saying it was a perfect film, it was far from it, but I didn't despise it like a lot of people did. So it just, I wondered, what exactly was that feeling? And The Last Jedi hit it perfectly for me. The crawl went back, and it all felt too surreal. Something just didn't feel right. And yes, the film starts out with comedy. I have a friend out there, and he highly dislikes The Last Jedi. He thinks it's the worst Star Wars film, a common point of view. And a 48% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes would suggest a lot of people feel that way. And I like The Last Jedi. And he says that I'm, Disney nerd and everything, and because I love everything Star Wars. I'm going to put that to rest. The Last Jedi has a lot of problems. I think, especially for it being the middle act, it has way too much comedy and too light of a tone. I also think that Rose was a poorly developed character. I still think Rey's character hasn't been really developed as well as it needs to be. Nowhere close. Finn kind of has a similar character arc to which he did in The Force Awakens. Rose, well, we already talked about Rose. Speaking of Rose, the whole Canto Bight subplot was very unnecessary, I guess, kind of too much. I think this film could have been tightened down easily to a 2-hour movie. They could have erased some of that other stuff. But like I said, this movie also has a lot of bonus points for it. I think everything that goes on between Rey, Kylo Ren, and Luke Skywalker is pretty good. Yes, I had a lot of problems when I first saw this movie. Luke Skywalker was not one of them. In fact, I was seeing I hated that he died. That's grown on me, but I still hated it. I was mad that he died. I didn't really care about the way he was portrayed. I thought it was fine. And, so, yes, I wouldn't say hate, but I dislike a lot about Last Jedi. But I like a lot about Last Jedi, and I just happen to like it more than I hate it. Like I've said before, Attack of the Clones is truly the only Star Wars film I hate more about than I like. Return of the Jedi is about 50-50, like I've said before in other reviews. But most of the other films I like more than I hate. And this is the same with The Last Jedi. I think Luke's character was fine. Like I said, I've said before, or other people have said as well, 30 years have happened. He's changed. People change. I'm different. I'm a different person now than I was a year ago, and a year ago I was a different person than I was the year before. People change. In 30 years in Star Wars time, if you're saying he has not changed one bit, I think that's pretty kind of That's the complete opposite of the way things should be. That's unrealistic. To say Luke Skywalker is unrealistic, I think the fact that he has not changed would be to say he's unrealistic. I could do a whole video defending Luke's character. I think the idea about him killing Kylo Ren, like everyone freaks out about that. No, he says it was a moment of pure instinct, a brief moment. And that is not unlike Luke Skywalker's character. What happens in Return of the Jedi? For a brief moment of pure instinct, he is about ready to strike down Vader. And then he snaps out of it. It was like a fleeting shadow. And he realizes, no, that is not the way. And he throws his lightsaber aside and says, no, I'm a Jedi like my father before me. That's exactly what he does in The Last Jedi. Then he stops. It was a brief moment of pure instinct. Then he stops. But by then it was too late. And Kylo Ren, or Ben Solo, woke up and saw that and took it as Luke was trying to kill him. And that was the final step in Kylo Ren turning. And that is why Luke leaves. He sees the damage he did. He says, okay, I'm better. He wants to go out and fight. Rian Johnson has talked about this before and other people. He wants to go out and fight. He wants to just say, when Rey comes to the lightsaber, he wants to pick it up, jump on the Falcon and go back. He wants to take on the whole First Order with the laser sword. But he knows that it's better off if he doesn't. And part of that first part of the movie is he slows from, no, Jedi need to go. Then it slows into Rey, and this is from a deleted scene too, but Rey is the one who needs to pick up the lightsaber and go. He realizes that he has done too much damage. And then, by the end of the movie, with some help from a couple old friends, R2-D2 and Yoda, he slowly realizes that yes, he failed, but that doesn't mean that he is, as a whole, bad for the galaxy. And he goes out in the most Jedi way possible. The Force is used for knowledge and defense, never for attack. He doesn't attack anyone. All he does is in a Force projection, he stalls so the good guys can escape. And at the same time, he sparks a legend, as we see from the end of the movie. The legend of Luke Skywalker standing against the First Order. Luke Skywalker was done awesome in The Last Jedi. I love it. Yes, The Last Jedi has numerous character problems, and I don't think Luke Skywalker was one of them. I think Kylo Ren was well done too. The Snoke scene at first, yes, when he kills Snoke, I literally said out loud in the theater, what? But I think that overall it was fine. Especially because he didn't turn. I think they could have done it differently. There's a different way, of course, that I wanted if you watch my predictions video, but I think the way they did it is fine. Yes, there's a lot of comedy in that film, and I wish it wasn't. But overall, I think the plot was decent. I don't really like Admiral Holdo either, I'll address that. I think it would have been better if Admiral Akbar played the part that she did, not necessarily the whole annoying, sideless, unnecessary plot of, oh, I'm not going to tell anyone my plan, which, by the way, I think at first she didn't have a plan, which I think was explained in a book or something, and then, when Poe first confronts him, she literally says, let's bring up those fuel things, huh? Let's check those out. So she's coming up with a plan. She doesn't have an idea yet. And then Poe starts freaking out and causing a mess, and it's obviously why she wouldn't trust him. If he's flipping out and calling her a traitor and everything, I think that makes sense. So what else is there to really discuss about this divisive film? Like I said, I think I sit down and I love a lot of it. Leia in space. Yeah, it wasn't done exactly the best it could have, but it's been scientifically proven that people can last almost a minute in space. That's why in Rebels they did it with where Kanan was pushed out by Maul into space briefly and he survives. Pablo Hidalgo had discussed in the Rebels Recon, he's like, oh, well no, we actually looked into that and science says you can last about a minute in space. So that's why they chose to make that a safe decision, similar with Leia. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff that I've discussed beforehand, and I would agree, still with this film. I don't think the sequel trilogy characters have been fleshed out as well as they should have been, with the exception of Kylo Ren. Like I've said, there's too much comedy in this film. I have stood by that. I don't really care for the Canto Bight subplot, but I think overall the film was decently done, and I think it gets a lot of hate that I don't think it deserves. Does it deserve some of the criticism? Absolutely. And I think Rian Johnson and Kathleen Kennedy coming out and calling everyone racist and sexist for having criticisms of the film, I think is poorly done, made out of poor judgment. But I think that's true. People do have those kinds of criticisms. But there's a lot of people who just didn't like the film. And I think, that's okay. A lot of people, you don't have to like this movie. This is why I do. Don't hate me for liking it, and I won't hate you for disliking it. I'm more than willing to debate you and share with you what I think and try to get you to see my point of view. I've watched countless videos where they explain to me their point of view. I understand why people hate this film. I just disagree. I think it's an alright film. I do not, by any means, think it is the worst Star Wars film. So now, in continuing with this tradition that I have of reviewing the films, I also give my rankings of the films. Things have changed a little bit since I last did the videos. I'll discuss that in a little video later on where I can include the Rise of Skywalker in it as well. But as it stands, here's my revised ranking of where I currently have the films. And I'm currently going to place The Last Jedi at number 5. Yes, I think it is better than the prequels. Just because something is original does not necessarily mean it is good. The prequels were not executed as well as they could have been. Same with The Last Jedi, but I think it was executed better. And to that, it brings us a close. Rise of Skywalker will be tomorrow, and I'm excited. I honestly am. I left this film 2 years ago, The Last Jedi, and I said I am not excited at all for Episode 9. I'm not. And then The Last Jedi has grown on me, and I'm excited for The Rise of Skywalker. So, with that being said, thank you for watching. May the Force be with you. Darth Momo out. We'll see you back for a solo review. Thank you guys for joining in. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. If you liked the video, comment down below and hit that like button. Oh, and check out some of my other videos. I'm sure you'll find them in the light.